her 2-year-old a sippy cup full of sangria instead of orange juice. She says he started acting differently at the restaurant, but couldn't figure out why.
Couldn't discipline him because he wasn't acting out, he was drunk. How disorganized can your bar be that you serve something with alcohol to a child in a cup with a lid, nonetheless, and not recognize it for half an hour?
The mother took her son to the hospital and doctors tested his blood and treated him with IV fluids. He's all right, but the mom has not said if she plans to sue the restaurant. And new today, another family says it's suing an Applebee's outside of Detroit for doing the same thing. The family's lawyer says a server inadvertently gave their 15-month-old a margarita instead of apple juice. He claims the boy's blood alcohol level tested at .10, just over the legal limit. Both companies have since apologized and promised to change their procedures. Let's bring in our legal panel, trial attorney Brett Nomberg and defense attorney Richard Roth. And Richard, look, both these restaurants acknowledge they gave these kids alcohol, right? Applebee's is now kind of arguing over the blood alcohol content. The hospital apparently says it was .10. Applebee's says no, it's lower than that. And the question is, does it really matter? I mean, if you gave the kid alcohol, you gave the kid alcohol.
Listen, it's wrong to give a kid alcohol. There's no question about it. I can give you 30 adjectives. It's wrong, it's inappropriate, it's embarrassing. But the one thing it's not is a lawsuit. It just doesn't amount to a lawsuit. It's terrible. If in fact there was an unfortunate incident, or if the kid was injured, or if there's some repercussions as a result, then a lawsuit goes. But the problem here is that instead of going to a doctor, people go to lawyers. And I think it's really inappropriate to start a lawsuit. And Applebee's has apologized. Applebee's has said they are doing things to fix it. Applebee's actually has paid for the medical bills. It happens. It's wrong, but it happens.
Brett, the family is saying this is more than just an oops. They're saying, look, my kid passed out on the table. He was talking to the walls, and he had a hangover for several days. So when they talk about lawsuit, they're saying this could have been a lot worse.
That's exactly right. This child could have died. .10, that's like an adult drinking 5 drinks of alcohol. Imagine that to a child, 5 drinks. It's terrible. And the child did go to the hospital immediately, so they did seek medical attention. And it's just egregious. This does not happen all the time. I can't believe that this is, something that's going on constantly. We would hear it in the news. This is something that is just an egregious mistake. And the lawsuits are the only things that will ever get these people to change their policies for consumer protection. The police aren't doing it. Business better protection, they don't get involved. Lawsuits are what help people change their business practices.
And let's face it, Richard, if Applebee called you tomorrow and said, we got a little problem on our hands, wouldn't you say, psst, come here? You put margarita mix in a sippy cup instead of apple juice. Maybe we just settle this thing and get it over with.
Oh, there's no question. It's terrible. It's horrific. It's embarrassing. I can go on and on. It's definitely not right, and I'm sure Applebee's, they've apologized, and they feel terrible about it. But what does that get you? Should it result in a lawsuit? Should it occupy the court system? Should it occupy the judges? The problem with this country is that people run to lawyers. And I think Brett said it best, that something could have happened to this child. And if something unfortunately did happen to this child, then it would be a lawsuit. But the bottom line is that nothing happened to this child.
Something did happen. I mean, come on, Brett, something did happen to this child. He got drunk. And let's face it, this doesn't really appear to me like a frivolous lawsuit.
It's not a frivolous lawsuit. What happened is they served a small child, a 1-year-old kid, with enough alcohol that could have put this kid into serious jeopardy. That's damages in and of itself. And the only reason this case will go to a lawsuit is if it doesn't settle. People don't talk about that. There's going to be discussions amongst these people beforehand. The reason it will go to a lawsuit is if the corporation is not being reasonable and they're not offering anything and they say forget about it. And that's why the lawsuit starts.
Yeah, it'll settle.
Just so we're clear, in both instances, the child is fine. Yes, it's unfortunate, but the child is fine in both instances. Both Applebee's and the parents have acknowledged that. So there's no excuse for it, absolutely no excuse for it. But should it occupy our court system? In this country, unfortunately, one of the only countries like that, the answer is yes, and that's unfortunate.
Richard Roth, fair point. Brett Nomberg, gentlemen, thank you both.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.